Let's talk about next one, net operating income. Okay, the net operating income is very simple. What is your total income minus expenses? That's the net operating income. Simple enough, okay? Cash flow. What is cash flow? Cash flow is money you put in your pocket, okay? So cash flow is after everything is said and done, mortgage payment is $1,500, property management is $200, that's $1,700, you're renting it for $2,000, there's no expenses, boom, $300 in your pocket. That is what cash flow means, okay? Some investors invest on cash flow, some investors invest on appreciation, okay? Pick a lane. I always tell investors, pick a lane. If you wanna be the best at appreciation, buy assets that appreciate and worry about the cash flow later. If you need the cash flow today, then worry about deals that cash flow the most and worry about the appreciation later. One or the other, stay in your lane so you can gain velocity. Okay, the deed, what is a deed? Deed is the document, certificate, whatever you wanna call it, stock certificate that you own this property. The deed, that's why they say title says you need to have a clean deed because it's really your stock. If it's dirty, in other words, if it has stuff in it, like liens and stuff like that, or your title is not clear, then you don't have a clean deed. Okay, so that's what the deed is when you hear the word deed. Okay, let's talk about foreclosures. Foreclosures are when the bank gets into it legally because you haven't paid, and they want to get after, go after your property, and they're going to give you some time. They're going to even offer you modification options. They're called MUD, or you could even do a short sale, which is short sale is a good way of selling the property with the bank agreeing to short sell the property, meaning sell it for less than you owe, just because they want to get rid of it. So that's what a short sale is. But yeah, foreclosure is when the bank says enough, you haven't paid, we're going to take the property from you. So that's foreclosure. And there's a lot of ways that you could avoid foreclosure. There's a lot of ways that you could benefit if you're the buyer by somebody that's under foreclosure and doesn't know what to do. You can help them and potentially take the property and get them away from getting that thing in their credit and being messed up for the rest of their lives. So there's a win-win situation, understanding foreclosures, very important. Appreciation, we talked about appreciation is, every year properties appreciate, appreciation is one of the most beautiful things in the world. It cures all the wounds of any mistakes you've done in the past. And it's what has helped me as an investor anytime that I've made a mistake about so many properties, but anytime I've made a mistake, I've been saved by appreciation, right? Because I underestimated repairs or overestimated rents, but at the end, the appreciation has helped me at the end because it has cured all those mistakes. So appreciation is the increase of the value in a yearly basis of your properties. You can see rent appreciation, but you could also see property appreciation. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, escrow. What is escrow? Escrow is there's two types of escrow. You have the escrow when you're buying a property, you need to put the deposit, the down payment. That becomes the escrow, and that money goes into a title company usually, or the brokerage could also keep an eye on it. And it's used for the purchase of the property. Okay, it's kind of like to hold the property, to reserve the property. Okay, that's what escrow is. Cannot be touched and cannot be commingled with anything. Once the escrow is put in title cannot use it for anything but for the purchase. And if the purchase doesn't go through, they gotta give you the money back. Okay. There's sometimes disputes to escrow that the seller feels that you should have gone through with the contract, and they usually go through mediation, and eventually if nothing is settled, then the title company refers back to whoever put it in it for after 12 months, and nothing happens. Okay. Another one that I wanted to mention is DSCR. DSCR are loans that are based just on the cash flow of the property. You really don't matter that much. It's really the cash flow of the property that matters. Usually the rule is 1.25% is coming in income from the property in order for you to get approved for DSCR. We're going to do some examples later on where we're going to talk about all of this in detail and things that are going to start making sense to you. But I wanted to bring that up as well. The next one is the HUD, HUD, or settlement statement. Is where the HUD is where the title company says, okay, here's all the fees from the lender, here's all the fees from title, here's the money you brought in. It ledgers everything into one document, a receipt of what's happening, okay? And it's very important that you get a preliminary HUD, meaning that before anything is set on stone, can I review the preliminary HUD to make sure that everything's okay? You should get the preliminary HUD 3 or 4 days prior to closing, so you have enough time to make any adjustments. And then you get the actual HUD. Okay, once again, you're gonna have the seller line, the buyer line. If you're the buyer, focus on the buyer line. If you're the seller, focus on the seller line. Go line by line. Let's talk about proration. Okay, proration is anytime that you have rent, and then the investor is going to buy the property in the middle of the month. What type of money goes to whom? Okay, so usually if you're going to close in the middle of the month, the first 15 days, of course, goes to the seller, and the other 15 days goes to the investor. And if you already collected the month up front, then there has to be proration that goes into the HUD. That's important of proration. And also it's important that when you're reviewing a HUD, that all the escrow is transferred from one end to the other, okay? Stopple letter. Okay, stopple letter is the letter that anytime you're gonna buy a multi-unit, usually for multi-units or properties that have an HOA or anything like that, that's a document you send to the HOA or that you send to the tenant to verify all the information on the property, that the properties are as good as the seller is saying when it comes to the tenants. When it comes to the HOA, stopple letter is there any money owed into any HOAs? I mean, most of you guys what HOAs are. I don't need to explain that, but we can go over that in the future. But a stopper letter is very important when you're buying real estate, okay? These are some other terms that we wanted to discuss today, and I'm sure that there will be others that come. So as I do videos, I might do part 2 of terms. If I think of new terms that we need to talk about, there's hundreds. I mean, from corporate rentals, Airbnbs, and we'll go over those in next videos. But thank you. I hope I didn't want to make the video too long. I hope you're enjoying the video so far, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.